because the Usaid was only focused, Mr. Speaker. And even you remember when we had the Gen Z protest, Mr. Speaker, there was allegation that some of these funds that come from donors, including Usaid, was being used to fund instability across Africa, not only Kenya, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we need to remain focused. I agree. While we agree with United States that USAID should have been suspended, I know many people say they used to support health programs across the country. Those are sustainable developments. That the threats that come is nations are becoming protectionist. What should we do as Africans? We need to ensure, and you heard the majority leader said, we need to ensure there is interconnectivity. Mr. Speaker, do you know it is faster and easier to travel to London as opposed to travel, for example, to Accra, Ghana, Mr. Speaker, to travel to Nigeria? Because the connectivity between Africa and Europe and America is far much better in Middle East than even traveling within Africa. So we need, the only challenge to ensure that we need to develop in the development, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that. Mr. Speaker, quickly moving is the point number 2 is sustainable goals, which are 17. The first goal, Mr. Speaker, is no poverty. There is no dignity in poverty. And yesterday, Senator Orwobo, we were discussing the provision of sanitary towels in our country. And we were talking about period poverty. There is no dignity in poverty, Mr. Speaker. If we say there is no poverty, we need to ensure each and every Kenyan can access 3 square meals, can take their children to school, Mr. Speaker, can access medical care, affordable and quality education. That is the only way we can end. And SDG number 1 is there should be no poverty, Mr. Speaker, because there is no dignity in poverty. Even in housing. And I want to thank the government of President William Ruto for ensuring that we have a sustainable cities and communities, a sustainable goal number 11. So in fact, what President William Ruto is doing, government, is complying with 17 goals of sustainable development goals. Because one of these is creating sustainable communities and cities and no poverty. Because even the indicators of poverty, Mr. Speaker, is even access to housing. Because basics, Mr. Speaker, are clothes, food, and shelter. So in 60 years down the line, Mr. Speaker, we are still discussing about the basics: food, shelter, and housing. And one of the factors that the government is trying to do is ensure there is a dignified place for living for most of the Kenyans. And you remember during Kibaki era, we had to use slum upgrading program here in Kibra, Mr. Speaker, even through national housing, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we must refocus. The biggest threat to development of sustainable goals and a threat to development of sustainable goals is we must be compliant with 17 goals. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, we need to end and ensure food security. That is sustainable goal number 2 of 17. Zero hunger, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, many Kenyans, and that is why we are pushing for school feeding program. Most of our children miss school because of issues of hunger. And that is why we need to ensure that the feeding programs within the ECD centers, Mr. Speaker, we need to refocus our energies. I saw school feeding program here in Nairobi, although the Office of the Auditor General has questioned the issue of school feeding program called Dish in a County for lack of transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, we have seen school feeding program, Mr. Speaker, in the financial year of 2022-2023, Mr. Speaker, where over 63 million in Trans Nzoia County, 63 million worth of school feeding program was given out, but only 185,451 packets of 200 meals of milk was being supplied to the school, Mr. Speaker. So you can see counties are planning for school feeding program, but they don't follow it up. Because looking at the Trans Nzoia County in financial year 2023-2024, a program, school feeding program worth 64 million, only less than 1% was delivered by the time the audit was done. Similar to Dish in a County here in Nairobi. So the fact of zero hunger in these countries, we must have a sustainable food security, Mr. Speaker. That is sustainable goal number 2. And I want to thank the government, Mr. Speaker, because we are in planting season in where I come from, in North Rift. When President William Ruto took over government, we used to buy fertilizer at 7,000 shillings. Courtesy of this subsidy program, we are buying fertilizer at 2,500, and it is being supplied. For example, in Nandi County, you go to Lesos NCPB, you go to Mosoriat and Cereals Board, you go to Celia Cereals Board, you go to Kobucha, Mr. Speaker, Cereal Board, where my farmers are picking subsidized fertilizers so that we ensure there is food security in this country, Mr. Speaker. And the reason there is a lot of noise, Mr. Speaker, in the country is because there is enough food. That is what is happening. The reason people are having energy of shouting at government, even acting echoes of one, Mr. Speaker, is because there is enough food in the country. Even Murang'a County, I'm happy I saw the governor of Murang'a, Irungu Wakangata, was issuing, Mr. Speaker, you need to protect me for indigenous behavior of Senator Orwoba. You should just be patient when seniors are speaking. Mr. Speaker.
You're protected, Senator Gloria.
Yes. Yesterday, she moved her bill for 1.5 hours. Some of us did not have a problem.
That is true.
Yeah, I'm just trying, because I'm seconding, I'm trying to give the House the information. I'll just finish in the next 2-3 minutes. 2-3 minutes. So, Speaker, I saw, because we want to see best practices at Murang'a County, led by Senator Irungu Kangata, and of course my brother, Senator, you know the money Irungu Kangata uses is what Senator Metu is pushing. Senator Nyutu is pushing in this floor of the House. And I saw him giving out seeds and subsidized fertilizer. That is how he is complying with sustainable call number 2 on zero hunger of ensuring food security. And the reason there is a lot of noise against the government of President William Ruto is because people are full. There is a lot of food in the country. And that is why they are making a lot of noise against this government. People are full, Mr. Speaker. And you remember the former ambassador of United States, Michael Reinfacker, or was it Edward Clay, that the people were too full until they were vomiting on our shoes. And that is what is happening with the opponents of President William Ruto government. If there was no food in this country, there would be no noise. But because the president has implemented the issue of zero hunger and food security in this country, you can imagine, Mr. Speaker. And even let us plant, I'm happy, let us diversify, Mr. Speaker. Finally, I want to just, in 1 minute, touch on what the government, so that members can understand that we had a number of organizations that were presenting, because this is just sustainable development goals that we pick up from Mwai Kibaki. Mr. Speaker, for international reviews, the position of Kenya in that summit in New York was very clear that we need to fight hunger in this country. And I've told you, most of our children don't attend schools because of lack of food. We need to improve on school feeding program. But the school feeding, even the national school feeding program has problems. I can see they normally allocate 4 billion. But National Assembly should come out and do the audit of the program, NACONEX, that is being run by Ministry of Education. It smells, it works, it wafts corruption, Mr. Speaker. You cannot go to Garissa County and give us the primary schools that the school feeding program by Ministry of Education is being done. And that is why we are challenging the National Assembly. Instead of encroaching on the whole functions, like building markets, like wanting to take road maintenance levy fund of 11 billion, they should be oversighting things like NACONEX, things like a provision of sanitary pads. Yesterday we saw where almost $1 billion plus has been issued for the last 2 financial years. They should do their job. And even the Supreme Court has ruled that CDF is unconstitutionally illegal. I want to agree with former Prime Minister Raila Odinga that the work of Parliament, Senate and National is to oversight, represent, legislate, and budget-making program. The National Assembly does not have a business to try and run CDF or any other funds. How do you run? You cannot have your cake and eat it. How do you run a program where you want to come and oversight? So that is what we need to really insist, and I wanted the position of Kenyan government was that, Mr. Speaker, on when they appeared, and it was presented by a lady called Monica Asuna, who was the director of Planning National Treasury in Kenya. And I saw National Assembly complaining about CDF, They normally, when we complain about delayed disbursement to counties, they normally thought we are joking. I thought they are powerful. Why would they want to hold hostage CS body over CDF? Counties today, as we talk, the last disbursement was in February. That counties have been dispersed. Up to now, more than 84 billion plus has not been dispersed to counties. So even as they push, because we are serving one Wanjiku, we are not serving different Wanjikus. Money should go to counties and money should go to CDF. You cannot tell us CDF to have money and counties do not have money, Mr. Speaker, going into the future. So the issue of sustainable development goals, colleagues, which I thought is very important, let us push so that we ensure zero hunger, zero poverty in this country, Mr. Speaker, and ensure we protect our lives, even good health and well-being. The government is running universal health coverage under Social Health Authority fund. Kenyans should ensure, Mr. Speaker, to stop a rampage of medical expenses in our villages every weekend. And I can say to you, as the senators sit here, you can see them in their phones, not because they are playing TikTok or they are watching TikTok. They are sending money to a rampage of medical expenses in the villages. The only way to stop it is to ensure that we register with Social Health Authority, Mr. Speaker, SHA, so that it becomes easy. I can tell you 90% of the Arambes we attend over the weekends is on medical expenses only. And it is on debts, Mr. Speaker, of defraying funeral expenses. We must, but I want to challenge governors, even as President William Ruto, just a minute, Mr. Speaker, I conclude, even as President William Ruto pushes the issue of SHA, Mr. Speaker, we must ensure that as we push for the registration of SHA, governors must provide medicine in our hospitals and medical services so that we can move as a country. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks and to allow colleagues to contribute, I beg to second, Mr. Speaker, and I hope the Senator Kajwang will talk about climate action when his time comes up. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.